last game, which is get more than one kill, I guess.
Hey, they won one lane, right?
They did.
They won
Their
one
team
lane.
won lane. LG, though, will be first pick this time round, which means Mighty Storm elected to be second pick. Good question, because we've not really spoken about that too much so far. The split is second pick or first pick better?
I think I like second pick a little bit more right now. To me, usually the only time you want first pick is when there's some god or a handful of gods that you can just say, okay, we got this pick. We have a much better chance of winning now. There's never been a god in the history of competitive Smite, no matter what Twitch chat says, that if you lock it in, you instantly win the game. That just has never been the case. There are gods that give you a much higher chance. And right now, the gods that you can pick, even things like Terra, which are usually the first picks these days, is that a good first pick? Absolutely. Very few weaknesses, a lot of strengths, can fit with multiple team compositions. But it's not just game over right away. And usually getting two strong picks back-to-back where you can kind of form your draft identity very quickly is a little bit more valued in situations like this.
I think generally because Terra, Cullen, and even, not necessarily Hou Yi here, but Cullen and Erlang Shen are really priority picks right now, especially with those current bans on your screen outside of Osiris. It means that if you do ban something like Osiris, you have at least two of those three. Because I'm pretty sure it's Terra, Cullen, Erlang Shen, and the other three that we see all the time.
Exactly. Those are the top three. Camazot's there as well. Scotty, of course. And there are always gods that are better than others. I mean, that's never not going to be the case. But right now, there isn't that dominant god that has very few counterplay options available.
Well, we saw Jingwei played by Vetium last game. He's going to take Barracuda's Hou Yi, and Barracuda's going to turn and go, okay, I'll play Jingwei. So, opposite match, we get to see those two play each other. Fafnir and Terra are going to be the same two supports we saw last game.
Nemesis, though, for Mask. Kind of surprised we didn't see Erlang Shen there for Luminosity with the Jingwei. Think that could have been a nice flex pick for them, but Mask is so strong on this Nemesis, and it's so good right now because now if a Mighty Storm wants to continue with that Erlang Shen jungle, you've got two warriors that Nemesis has an easy time shredding through. I
do feel Mask and like Homie FA, people like that, should always just be in assassins in the jungle, in my opinion.
Sure.
Not so much on the warrior tanky meta. So I can understand them not necessarily going for that.
Well, I was thinking Erlang Shen for Aquarius in the solo lane because it's so strong right now and has a pretty decent matchup up against Caholen. It's not a great matchup, but it's not like Erlang Shen just rolls over him in lane, but still can hold his own and then has an excellent team fight.
Well, we mentioned the Scylla pick for Shadow Chair before and them going back to it. They're going to switch it up and go for Toth here. So a bit more range, potentially a little bit more safety.
But the same problem. The same problem in terms of weak early game. So Giannis for Baskin, I'm excited to see how he does because whenever Baskin was transitioning to mid, there were a lot of jokes about Baskin's Giannis, so he clearly has been working on it. Plus, did you see that Twitch clip of Baskin Giannis ulting into Snoopy and he like 100 to zeros him? Oh, it's really good.
Okay.
Because actually, I don't know if you know this, but Baskin talked to Coop and then got snooped.
Ratatoska.
Aren't we buffing him next patch? Why
I'm not sure. Is he buffed this patch or next?
It's the next patch.
Next patch. Okay, interesting. Well, maybe Mighty Storm could show us
early game
how good it is.
This is Sam saying, okay, I didn't get the early game on Erlang Shen.
Sure.
Now it's time for me to try and get early game on the Ratatosker, and it's the same sort of idea for a Mighty Storm. They like picking these late game mid mages with early game junglers to try and help carry them through it. Now this time, Sam can kind of sit in that solo lane with FineOK and get the pressure. It's not like when FineOK was playing that Sobek, where no matter what jungler you have with you, you're not going to be getting pressure in that lane. Now if a Mighty Storm want to pair up their jungler and solo laner, it'll actually get them something. It'll actually get them pressure on that right-hand side, potentially, because Nemesis is not nearly as weak as she used to be in the early stages with a little bit more power on that slice and dice. And Aquarius is playing Chalk, who's kind of like the early game king, because that's like all he does.
Well, you can see at the start of the game, just talking a little bit about Mighty Storm here as well. Vetium, probably the most experienced player on this team in terms of actually reaching the finals once upon a time. You've got Sam for Soccer, who was once upon a time on Eager for a short spell. FineOK had a bit of experience for some teams in the solo lane. And then Shadow Chair, absolutely new rookie. And Vivian, who's been around this split.
Been around a little bit. Vetium's certainly the most experienced and seems to be the most comfortable back in the SPL during this roster's short stint, but these are guys with some excellent talent who definitely have potential.
So once again, mid laners are going to be left to their own devices. Mighty Storm going to start in their own jungle this time round, whereas Mighty Storm on the left-hand side are going to look in the enemy's jungle to steal away this red buff. Baron's looking for poke on Vivian though. Body blocks come into play as well. Blue buff goes the way of Luminosity. Sorry, red buff goes the way of Luminosity. I should say now Vivian and Vetium get no experience and get poked out heavily.
And that was just a perfect body block by Jeff Ribeiro. I'm not sure exactly who ate that hammer, but you can body block that hammer. It's excellent secure, pretty much the best Guardian secure in the game at level 1 with 100 damage at rank 1 for that Fafnir hammer. But if you body block it, you're not going to be able to get it through.
Double dash from Mask, and obviously whether that Bluestone in tow as well. We'll get a little bit of extra poke off, but was forced to use his beads there, as has Sanford Soccer used his Aegis in this solo lane composition between the two. And pressure goes to LG. Only a blue buff available for them to take, but they're just going to settle for the elementals.
And I like this decision. Always go for that neutral farm if you have the pressure, because you can always go back to your own buffs later on. Pretty surprising that LG's able to get the pressure against Cullen at level 2. Usually oh, Aquarius stole it. He stole it away.
Axe is OP.
Sometimes you just have those games where nothing seems to go right for you, and a Mighty Storm already off to that here in game 2.
Oh, Shadow Chair going to get a little bit spicily aggressive on Baskin, and Baskin's like, what are you doing? Eat half your health with a portal and an unstable vortex, as his teammates will be in the enemy jungle looking for their second red buff of the game, and will get it. Now pressure onto Vivian, forced to leap away, as was Vetium there. Purple buff is available. As on the right-hand side, Aquarius is taking on 2 and not having a good time, but luckily enough, the Torrent to the rescue.
Quick reaction there by Aquarius to make sure he gets back to the speed buff. Good use of that Chalk kit, not using that extra heal to get that slow aura, which may have also saved him, but ends up being wiser. If Mask is able to come in there, it might be first blood for LG, but
nice.
A little bit safer there.
The dance of the purple buff, and with that, Mighty Storm will lose both their red and the purple. Luminosity were able to defend their own red, and their purple is still standing. So, they're experiencing gold lead that you see on the screen. Gold-wise, not so much. Experience, definitely in favor of the duo lane, level 4 to level 2.
No doubt, and this is Luminosity getting pressure in every single lane, again, for the second game in a row, and that's what's really tough, is whenever you don't have pressure anywhere, it's really tough to make plays anywhere on the map, at least aggressive plays. You can make those counter initiations, hope that Luminosity botches an engagement, but you're kind of relying on them not playing as perfectly or very well in order to kind of punish them for that. And that's the strength of this chalk pick for Luminosity on the right-hand side. A Mighty Storm get Cullen and Ratatosker. They say, take this early game. That's what we're gonna go with here. And then Luminosity says, okay, I'm gonna go more early game than you. We will take this early game. But a Mighty Storm should have the mid-game advantage on the right-hand side of the map if they can stay close enough to even in order to get there.
Well, it's interesting enough to see how EU versus NA goes on, because the one thing that we've not had for a little while is a difference in the two metas, and starting to be shown a little bit more now, the differences here. Obviously, Luminosity and Mighty Storm here showing us the 2-1-2 sort of standard, whereas EU been running the 1-2-2 a lot more as of late.
And that 2 in the mid lane is usually the Hunter. It's the Guardian who's in the ADC role, kind of the solo lane right now in the early stages, with the Hunter helping out the mid. Interested to see if NA is going to switch, or if EU is going to switch it up and think that NAs might be better, or they could both just stay on their own sort of idea, their own train of thought.
And that's where LAN's really fun then, because at LAN you get to see both those metas collide and go, okay, which meta's better? And eventually they'll either all adapt to the same meta by the end of the tournament, which is either 1-2-2 or 2-1-2 or even 1-1-3, you know, you just never know.
And usual, let's be real, NA is probably just going to change over to EU, what EU is doing. Not necessarily because it's better or stronger, but because EU's doing it, and EU's been the dominant region.
Funny enough, back in Season 1, it was EU that adopted NA strategies when NA were the ones succeeding. Talking about succeeding, Sanford Soccer's got a good bit of pressure on Aquarius here, but Aquarius has bought himself a window for now. Vivian will miss his hammer. Space and time comes through, but fine, okay, will manage to get the kill. Mask has arrived, though, and Mask is still looking for the kill with the beads. Gets it with the nice little chop suey, and it's a 1-for-1, but Mighty Storm get first blood.
Very close to dropping that one, though. Fine, okay, a little bit late on that knock-up ultimate, but they end up getting it anyways. Now Mask looking for the blue buff. Needs to be careful. He doesn't have beads here, but got him right in the middle of the double dash. Shadow Chair puts him down.
And with that, Mighty Storm will defend their own blue now, so nice little situation for them. Fine, okay. Getting first blood on the board helps him, and a kill for Shadow Chair also helps him too.
Yeah, I don't know about that invade on the right-hand side. I know Jeff Hinla's there, but so is Vivian, and Aquarius had already fallen. Mask sitting below half HP and with no purification beads. That's a really risky invade from Luminosity. A little bit more fast and loose than how they were playing in Game 1.
Well, looking at the builds as well, you see Barracuda didn't go for boots here. He's going straight up for that Devourer's Gauntlets after the 2 starter items that we've seen quite often here. I guess he's just using the fact that, you know, he is Jing Wei with the agility, the extra mobility from that, and the passive to get back from base. Is that, you know, susceptibility viable?
Not only that, but I think that this is just a slightly better build path, because just like I was talking about game number 1, yes, right now Vedium's going to have the advantage because he's got the full boots. He's going to be stronger, more mobile. Basically everything you want is going to be in Vedium's favor. But as soon as Barra even gets boots 2 online, he's matching some of that mobility, not quite as much.
Fine, okay, he's in a bit of trouble on the right-hand side. Hold that 4. I was just making sure he's okay because I saw Mask ult him down to half, but we'll get back to the tower in safety. Go back to what you were talking about anyway, to do with the builds.
So by the time that Barracuda finishes off his boots, it's trouble on the left-hand side. Nice double knock up there by Sam. Airstrike comes out quick enough for Barracuda, but Sam's still looking for Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's in a lot of trouble with the Suns coming down space and time through from Baskin. He was looking for the escape route. Jeff won't find it. Shadow Chair, though, in a very awkward predicament. Luckily enough, though, that was a good ricochet by the looks of it that came out from Vetium to help out his mid laner. More pressure, and LG are in trouble. 5-1. Where was this game? Where was this team game 1?
Where was Ratatosker game 1? Sam's making it happen right now on this rat, the eager rat, I might add, on the skin. 2-0 and 3 has been a part of every single kill for a Mighty Storm, and he sets that up with a beautiful 2-man knockup, chases down Jeff, sets up that kill, and then Shadow Chair looks like he made a mistake by dashing in, trying to predict where Baskin was going to be with that invade and punish stun. Mats comes around the backside, but Mats just didn't respect how much damage a Mighty Storm had without his purification beads up. 1 stun from Vivian equaled an instant death for him as well.
Well, now those kills have evened up the gold a little bit. Experience-wise, if you take a look at the graphs, you'll see it's actually still in LG's favor, even though that last engagement went well, because there was nothing really for them available for them to take off the back of the win of the fight.
The problem for Luminosity, though, is that they used a couple relics in order to get away in that situation. Baskin in particular now needs to be pretty careful with that Ratatosker ultimate. I mean, even with through space and time, you have to react to it pretty quickly if you want to get out of danger without any purification beads.
How are we finding Aquarius doing in the solo lane? Like, we've not really seen too much in the game so far. We've not needed to, but how's he been performing for LG? Has he been to the standard that we've seen out of LG with their recruitment of solo laners that have gone through the year?
I think Aquarius was the perfect pickup for Luminosity. Might not have been the most talented, as actually Sanford Soccer's going up again, looking for the left-hand side, but Barracuda's not the one you want to knock up because he's got that agility. Instead, just heads mid for some farm. Going back to Aquarius, he seems the perfect pickup for me for Luminosity, because Luminosity doesn't need that star solo laner. They don't need Cyclone Spin or Benji. They don't need the guy who's going to carry the team fight. They need the guy who's going to make room for Baskin and Jeff. Baskin and Barra, I should say.
Sure.
Though Jeff can be the carry too, I suppose. You need just someone who's going to zone out the enemy backline, play well in lane, and do your job in the team fight to allow your star carries to make the plays. And that's exactly what Aquarius has done thus far. Chalk, I've been pretty vocal in my opposition against Chalk in competitive play a lot of the time, because he's kind of a one-trick pony, and even that trick isn't that impressive. But this is exactly what Luminosity wants out of their solo laner. Pressure on the right-hand side to open up the door for Mask, and then good team fight presence.
Terra in a bit of trouble here, but here comes Baskin to the rescue with the portals, and pressure onto Shadow Chair once more. Shadow Chair going to get knocked to half health immediately, and Baskin with a quick unstable vortex will take his life. And it seems to be the biggest story here, is trying to protect Shadow Chair, and he's not getting enough protection to get him away from the danger.
And look at what Aquarius did on right. He 2v1'd and put Sam to half health and got the speed buff. He might even kill Sam here.
Sam will be able to dash away for now, and Aquarius can't do much more than that. Goes back to farming, though. Does force Sam for Soccer back, especially with keeping an eye on the minimap. You can see Nemesis and Giannis were lurking in the area if he tried to come in the jungle to farm back up.
And he got the speed buff for his own efforts. There goes the Oracles, both the way of a Mighty Storm. Jeff's wall's actually helping Vedium out there more than anything else.
Yeah, Vedium knew what was going on, though. Ricochet off the wall to help out Barra. Gotta do a bit of trading with the Hunters. These two have definitely fought a few times in their career against each other, and I'd say it's been relatively even in terms of the laning phase between these two. Both quite happy to go aggressive.
Both of these guys have been on really good teams for really long times. Vedium has been usually not a name that you bring up in terms of top hunters in North America, and I think that's kind of undeserved, because he's been on so many good teams and always done his own job.
What you can think about this is Sam for Soccer goes in onto Aquarius and Mask. There's the ultimate from Aquarius to silence out. Buys Mask enough of a window to get his shield up and his ult off to separate himself. And adding to the fact, I believe we didn't see Jeff actually use his ultimate there. I thought it was available too to help out a little bit more. But that worked out well for a defense against Sam for Soccer in these engagements.
So Sam gets 2 ults for his one. Fine, okay, does use his own, but having that second ult right there like he does, it's not as big of a deal, I suppose. So Sam's doing a really nice job. Not super far ahead in farm, the same level as Mask right now, but look at where he is on the player damage. Second in the game, first on his team. He's really first. I mean, chalk damage, that doesn't really count.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Why does chalk damage not count? That does so much.
It's early game chalk and lane, man. You're just poking each other.
I mean, it's more than
We
poke.
talk about it all the time.
Look at poor Fine OK. He's not poked. He's at half health consistently in this lane. And then when the rat comes up, the rat feels it too.
I suppose. But either way, Sam's done a good job in terms of dealing player damage, at least on his side, top of his team. And he's been putting pressure everywhere. No more kills since that nice little 3 for Mighty Storm on the left-hand side of the map, because Luminosity is, in my mind, started to respect this team a little bit more, at least the draft that they've gone for in this game. They understand that they can't just take every single fight they see now.
We've seen a couple of Giannis's so far this split, and Baskin's version of it. No actual look towards do-mob here. Actually went for the safer option, Spear of Desolation. How do you feel about this?
I don't know how I like it. I don't really like Spear of Desolation second, as Jeff Hinley in some trouble, has to use the Terra's Blessing. Shadow Chair's ultimate off the mark as Luminosity get the red buff and scram because they got it already.
And just using that mobility to their advantage. A lot of Luminosity comps here being focused around mobility, it feels, obviously with the Giannis as well. But Mask looking for a cheeky gank on this left-hand side. His bar was overextended on purpose. The bait was there as the airstrike comes through. It's Vivian that will fall. And Jeff will take his enemy support's life. The real carry is here as Shadow Chair in the jungle will get away from Baskin for now in terms of damage anyway.
So Spear of Desolation second item is just a little bit too expensive for not enough oomph for me. Now on Giannis, it can be a different story because that extra 10% CDR makes a huge difference as Luminosity takes this window that they've earned and gets a free Gold Fury. Now Baskin can work towards something like an Obsidian Shard if he wants some more pen. If he really wants to, could go for just all damage with something like Book of Thoth, but don't know if that's necessarily the route that I would prefer to see him go. This does open up his build in terms of third item choice, but still want to get that Rod of Tahuti fairly early on and still want to work towards some more CDR if possible.
Well, talking about Book of Thoth, you can see Thoth, Shadow Chair has picked up his own book for the time being too, so he's going to get a bit more extra damage online. A little bit delayed behind the boots, but I guess he really needs that mobility with the focus he's receiving so far.
Well, it's because of the start that a Mighty Storm's doing that prevents him from starting that Soul Trap, the Book of Thoth 2. He needs the Bumba's Mask if he wants to stick around and sustain the way that Baskin has if he's all by himself.
In comes Aquarius with an axe, trying to stop a Mighty Storm from doing this. Portal Demon walls as well. Silence 2, space and time through. Shadow Chair did nothing with the ultimate. In goes to the back line. Mask is going in with Baskin too, looking to clean up Fine OK. Not only is this fight going the way of Luminosity, but they stole the Portal Demon, and Fine OK will die to the unstable Vortex.
That was silly what Luminosity just did to a Mighty Storm. Just perfect synergy. You want to talk about synergy? Holy crap, the Jeff stun into the Aquarius ultimate, which knocks up a member into Baskin's ultimate. Baskin's in the perfect position there. He's even on a ward, I believe. If he was in the jungle, he would have been on that bottom right side ward, but who cares? Just so much happening all at once. In a Mighty Storm, you can get away with stuff like that against worse teams, not against LG.
Shadow Chair went in looking for some damage. Just Shadow Chair in trouble, has to Aegis Ruin in place. Airstrike not going to do damage. Sam Fasok is still alive in the backline, but not for long as Mask comes through. Vetium forced out by Aquarius in the backside as Vitium falls through a portal. And before, sorry, Vivian, he can't even get away though as the walls from Jeff will take the support's life again. The true carry is here. Jeff Hinler's online.
3-1-3, top in terms of kills in this game on both sides. Got 3 of Luminosity's 7, and he's played beautifully on this Terra between the kills and the setup, of course. That call from a Mighty Storm just makes so little sense to me. You cannot afford to try and pull that Portal Demon in front of Jeff Hinla and Aquarius. Aquarius level 15. Final Case level 12. Like, you can't just pull that in front of a Chalk where this is Chalk's best time in the entire game.
In my eyes, it's not necessarily just that. It's the fact that Giannis is on the map and he could always turn up there. They give him vision for that Giannis to turn up and go, okay, I'll just line it up, and we saw exactly what happened when it was lined up. They took a lot of free damage, and the follow-up was perfect from Mask and the rest of the team.
Just an unwise decision. Even if a Mighty Storm get that, it's a coin flip at best in that stage. You don't have a lot of secure. You're looking at Shadow Chair's ultimate to secure that, but if you use that Final Judgment at this stage, which isn't even doing that much damage with only 20-some stacks on the Book of Thoth and no third item even work towards at that stage, then you're not going to be able to take the fight afterwards. The Luminosity's almost certainly going to fight you with the Giannis, as you mentioned.
Well, left-hand side, space and time fight off. They're looking for a pick around the corner for Vetium here, and Vetium doesn't even know it's coming. Aegis already used. Will absorb the unstable Vortex, forces out the beast too. Shadow Chair to the rescue, but the portal's good enough as Baskin picks up Vetium.
Love the understanding of exactly how much damage Baskin's going to do. He calls out, he's dead, let him go, so everyone from Luminosity can go back towards this tier 1 and not worry about Sam for Soccer's trying to peel for Vedium, who is both relics in that situation. And again, this is what I'm talking about with these builds. Bera's got 70 stacks and boots. Ignore the third item because that's because Luminosity's ahead. It's the fact that Vedium only has 40-some stacks on that Devourer's gauntlets, even at this stage, 15 minutes in.
How quickly this game changed, though, from Luminosity being behind in terms of kills and losing those little engagements to one Portal Demon call that switches the game on its head once more. And look at the gold lead. It's getting out of control now once again, just like game 1. It didn't feel the same as game 1, looking at the first 2 minutes whatsoever. But since then, it's starting to go that direction once more.
And this is what good teams do to other squads. They put pressure on you, and they force you to make a decision that they know they can capitalize on. Yes, Luminosity was pretty close with the Mighty Storm through the first 15 to 14 minutes of this game, but Luminosity always seemed to have the pressure. Even the kills that a Mighty Storm was getting were in response to Luminosity either being too pushed up on the right-hand side, being too aggressive on the left-hand side. It was always LG who was forcing it. As soon as a Mighty Storm say, hey, we want to turn to try and push you where we want you to be, Luminosity says, well, we wanted to be here anyways. Thank you for the Portal Demon, and we'll take your lives as well.
Well, less than 24 seconds until this Gold Fury spawns, and you can see Luminosity setting up for it once more. With having Aquarius on that right-hand side too, they're going to get a bit of free farm for him. And Shadowchair commits his ultimate. Sorry, Shadowchair. Sam for Soccer commits his ultimate very early. Looking to the backline for Baskin, who uses the Aegis to absorb the damage. Shadowchair, he has to Aegis too, as Mask is still chasing him down. And in comes the boys of LG.
Bera's just going in with that upgraded sprint up and over the final judgment from Shadowchair. Bera has to use both relics, but Mask finds the mid laner.
Still though, Bera's in a lot of trouble and he will fall down before he can get away. But Mighty Storm are all very low now as Aquarius turns up on the Chak and boom, Chakalaka. He gets the ultimate off, not enough for a kill. And there's a bit of an issue with Giannis there as you see the unstable Vortex just completely whiffing at close range.
No, he forced him in. He forced him into the autos for Mask. That was the entire plan.
Typical defense of a mage in the mid lane. No, he wanted to keep him still.
See, you see a miss. I see a textbook zoning unstable Vortex.
I see the reason why Giannis has been considered a bit of an issue in terms of damage output. That's what I see.
I see a great ultimate from Baskin that puts that Luminosity in position in order to get into that fight. Yeah, Sam for Soccer tries to force him out, but all that does is pull Sam away from the team fight, and Baskin says, all right, dude, have fun by Gold Fury. I'm going to be with the rest of my squad up by your red buff, and the rest of the team can come with me too.
Well, with that moment, now you can see Sam for Soccer on the right-hand side just trying to push the wave into the tower, see if the buffs are up, which they're not. And Aquarius will turn back up at level 17, equal with Barracuda right now. They can't really shut down this Chak. And I'm not even talking about the Jingwei, just Chak alone. Like, he's so tanky right now. He's going to be such a problem to deal with.
And stacking this physical defense is exactly what Aquarius wants to do, because Shadowchair is not going to be hurting him significantly, at least until he can finish his next item after Hide of the Urchin, because that's how far ahead he is as Aquarius and how far behind Shadowchair is on this Thoth. Really intelligent build coming out of Aquarius. And I also love that Jeff has upgraded his relics again right away. This is the first time we're really seeing teams prioritize relic upgrades, but Barracuda getting that upgraded sprint,
Sam
having the Fatalis effect was
in
so
the
strong.
air. Sam knows this is going on. Ratatoska to the rescue. And you can see LG just going to hold the Fire Giant now as Sam comes in, gets a bit of poke off, forced to reset, and that's it. That's all he can really do. The rest of his team, though, did manage to get a tier 1 and will get a tier 2 on the left. So what Sam for Soccer did there is, yes, he tried to attempt to steal. He did delay the actual kill the Fire Giant, which bought his team enough time to get a little bit of gold in response.
That was very smart from Sam. That's the best he can do in that position. No chance for him to steal that away, and no chance for him to even get a kill because of how healthy all of Luminosity was. Instead, just allow his team to get that 2,000 gold for themselves on the left-hand side of the map. And that 2,000 gold across the Tier 1, which is 500, and the Tier 2, which is 1,500, is very valuable right now. A Mighty Storm needs as much gold as they can get, and getting that extra boost, look at how many items they just finished. Brawler's Beatstick for Sam for Soccer, Spear of Desolation for Shadowchair, and Emperor's Armor for Vivian, which is a nice pickup here because Luminosity is going to be sieging with this Fire Giant. So buffing up your own towers and structures, a really smart pickup for him. Executioner's already been done for Vedium, but it gets him a little bit closer to that chin size as well.
You know what I love?
What's that?
50% CDR. That's what I love. That's what Baskin's got right now. And when I say 50%, 40's the hard cap, but Chronos Pendant can go over that. And you only really want cooldown reduction when you use an ability anyway. So it really is 50% CDR that Giannis now has. Taken into account through space and time, then, well, it's going to be up a hell of a lot more often.
And normally not a good thing to get this much CDR this early because then your abilities are suffering, but because of how far ahead Baskin is off of base damage from being level 18, it doesn't really hurt him too much.
Pressure onto this left-hand Phoenix. Barra is being focused, forced to beads and leap away. His final K came in there, looking for the ultimate, couldn't do much. Vetium dropped very low already. He has to leave as Vivian is already dead too. Aquarius going to get one onto Vivian as the space and time fires through, and the left-hand Phoenix is about to fall.
Barra finds Sam as well. 13 now for Luminosity as they'll get left side Phoenix clean and clear. Baskin pretty low, but still has his purification beads. No Aegis available because of Shadow Chair's ultimate earlier on.
Still, though, Luminosity hanging around here. A couple of minions still on the left-hand side to clear out, and there's no pressure on the middle of the right-hand side, so a bit surprised they're still hanging around here. They're just expecting someone to walk up to them. I'm not sure.
Well, Vivian's got a little bit less than 10 seconds, but Sam's not up for about 15, and Final K seems willing to walk up to them.
Well, there's Jeff in a bit of trouble there. Has to dash away, but in the back goes Mass, looking for Shadow Chair once more. Shadow Chair in trouble, running for his life and can't get away even with Peel.
Mask with the perfect auto cancels. Now Vedium's really low, locked in, and Barra is going to claim his life. Look at Final K doing his best with that multi-man knockup, but a portal was waiting for him.
And there goes Final K. This is looking grim. Sanford Soccer's about to fall too. Vivian, the last one alive, and the captain will fall. The Phoenix soon after. And LG could just well easily end off this push.
A Mighty Storm looked better in the early game. The early game definitely going their way much more than it did in game number 1.